I was reading Facebook posts.
It's like a so I could do my lady riding.
Every time I really love
All right, guys. Sorry about that. I am back. That was my bad. Court took a lot longer than anticipated. So, yeah. So sorry about that again. So, sorry about that, everybody. Yes, as you can see, had to get all dolled up. Also, apparently, all the cell phone towers in Cleveland Heights are not working today because 5G disappeared right at the end of the drive. Liz, I'm going to send you a new link if you'd like to join back in. So, guys, sorry, I'm just catching up on some things here. It's got a bunch of emails. I'm trying to read through these real quick. You're like, oh my God, where'd you go? It's like, so yeah, so let's see, where's everybody at? Ashley Matney, thanks again for being here. You're welcome. Brad Nash, sorry I'm in Cleveland. Hey, I live and work out here, so that's kind of what I do. So what's going to happen? The judge is going to, I think the judge is going to continue sentencing. She took a break because it became lunchtime. No, Dr. Husel was tried down in, Dr. Husel was tried in Columbus, so that's not in my neck of the woods. That's about 2.5 hours away. Oh, there's Liz. Hi, Liz.
Hello.
Thank you for holding down the fort. That turned into a mess.
No problem. I totally get it.
You're like, oh, it's just like working in the hospital.
It's like, I guess I'm going to commandeer this stream now. Cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, guys, I know a couple of you super chatted. I'm going to go ahead and try to pull those up real quick because I didn't want to leave those unanswered. Because I know if you guys took the time to send those to me, I do want to answer them. And I just got to figure out how to get to them out of YouTube. Because that is not clear. Okay, yeah, here we go. All right. So, Henhouse Bath Company, I know you did earlier. Thank you for covering this. You're welcome. Shannon, thank you. Carolyn R., thank you. Melinda Hetrick, thank you as well. Shannon, thank you again. Lawn Lumber, Rob, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And then, yeah, V0216, thank you as well. I appreciate everything. So, well, thanks, Playmaker. I appreciate it. No, it's not a clip-on tie. Thank you, though. Here's proof of life. Hold on. Well, actually, look, see, it's real.
They weren't having faith in you there.
No, but I mean, there's times where I've always thought about it, but there'd be too many times where something would happen, or my collar gets caught and people would notice it's a clip-on. So, oh no, I will say when COVID happened, I know a lot of attorneys who you wear a pair of shorts and you wear a button-down shirt, and then, it's from here down. So I did wear a clip-on tie during COVID.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
yes,
I did
a lot
lots
of people
telehealth.
Did. Yeah.
Yes, I was gonna say I did lots of telehealth with half pajamas.
So, yeah, I guess, and guys, I haven't muted till they come back on. Liz, I guess I could see, people were asking, what's this going to do for nurses? And yeah, I think this is going to be an issue of if you make a mistake, it's going to be up to a prosecutor to decide how big of a mistake it was.
Yeah.
And that's a scary thought.
Time. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like such a waste of time of how much are they going to prosecute that? And I just think it's just going to trickle down and no one's going to ever admit anything anymore. And it's going to make it so much less safe.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I see that. And I think, especially what I was going to say, though, is when it comes to like the mistakes, like, okay, and you have to start sorting out what level of mistake is criminal. I think her friend even mentioned, I gave somebody the wrong insulin before. Mm-hmm. Which that could kill or seriously injure somebody in the right circumstance.
Oh, yeah.
So are they going to prosecute her for that? Like, oh, you could have caused harm. I that's where I want to know, where are they going to draw this line? Because it's not very clear in your guys' field.
And that was always what I was kind of talking about. I was like, yeah, where do you draw that line? Because we have tens of thousands of fatal med errors every single year. So where do you draw that line? Oh, you made 2 mistakes. Okay. Or you made 3. Mm-hmm. Like, that's so ambiguous. And especially it's just I think it's going to get ugly with who they then decide to prosecute. It already has started to get ugly. in terms of a lot of people are taking people to court with like less resources, who are coming from situations where they don't have as much to fight back, and they're becoming the scapegoats, and it's not great.
Well, and I was going to ask you this because I know you're an NP, right?
Yeah.
Do you have malpractice or liability insurance as a nurse practitioner?
So yes.
Okay. Now, is that your own decision, or do you have to have that?
So you have to have it in some capacity. Either your
Okay.
employer has to provide it for you, and you can get your own on top of it. But I mean, it would never cover you criminally.
Okay. Well, that's what I was going to say, because I wondered how, if it goes into this situation where it's not even a malicious action, it's a, this literally was at the worst negligence. So I would just be curious how those normally would cover, if they did at all.
Usually it will, but we were chatting in the chat, and almost, I would say, 19 out of 20 times that I have seen something go wrong, it is settled out of court. The hospital pays a bunch of money, and no one ever actually goes and does the lawsuit, because there's a lot of worry about like, oh, will this even be able to, what if we lose? Like, people don't have the money to go up against these healthcare institutions. So,
but Brad, look, it's not a clip-on. Look, see, it was a real tie. I'm a real boy. No, it was a real tie. Jeez, it's like I got to prove everything to you guys out there. No, I just, and this is very interesting because you have, which I know a lot of people that have been following me, I covered for a while, was Dr. Husel in Columbus, where he's like, yes, I gave these people tons of fentanyl. Yes, I knew what I was doing, and I meant for what to happen. And then he got acquitted of murder charges. And I think it's interesting that he intentionally did it. And I get, if you intentionally meant to do this, okay, you could charge that person.
Yeah.
And this one's like, oops, I messed up. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot more that are like this, where it's nurses who are getting tried, who are getting convicted.
Yeah.
And
well, I think you said there's the one.
You
said there's the one in Pennsylvania, I think you had mentioned.
Yeah. So Christanne Gainey, hers was similar. She ended up taking I think a plea deal, but she was charged with very similar thing in a nursing home where she had an impossible number of patients, and then something horrible happened. Then, I mean, there's just so many other ones.
In hers, though, hers is the situation where when your patient is the parent of a former national security advisor,
things happen a little differently.
Yes, things happen differently now.
Yes.
Yeah, and
it's usually who you know.
Yes, and that's the thing. It also matters who you hurt and who they know.
And that really is very true, as I've seen that play out.
Yes. Yeah, and I, guys, and I know at the end there got a little bit of a mess, but yes, I thought the prosecutions, and that's that guy sitting right here in the suit closest to us, that was absolutely, well, you know what, I'm only 26 minutes in, I don't care. That was absolutely fucking atrocious.
Yeah.
Like, I get it, some nurse busted your balls on TV and made you look like you're a petty dick for going after her like this, which, and I get it. There's also the idea the kick dog barks the loudest. Well, dog was doing a lot of barking really loud. So yeah.
They came off very petty from like having no idea what was actually coming out of their mouth legally. I was like, this just feels like you got butthurt. The legal arguments,
and I will say, guys, now we've got some time, they're just arguing she's not entitled to any diversion or any sort of beneficial programming that exists out there. As you heard him say, they want incarceration. So
as opposed to going to jail, that's what they're talking about.
Well, yeah, they don't want her getting the diversion where if she completes things, it helps her out. Mr. Leosoma, you're 26. No, I'm 36. So, they're making those arguments, and I worked as a prosecutor for about 2 years. I've made those arguments before in court. They're not entitled to any sort of other sanction available. Prison is the proper sanction. And you list out all the factors, but you list them out and that's it. You don't go run around saying like how, they besmirched our office. That's oh no, I think you're a bad guy and you made fun of us. Like that goes with
Yeah.
the territory. Now,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will say, the statement she made, and I don't know if you saw it at the beginning, but she had made a statement where she was starting to swear in between her verdict and the case resting, and the jury came back, and she was talking crap. That's admissible in court, and that could have been used at a sentencing even here in Ohio, because that's your own statement. If she had given an interview in the meantime, that's something that could have been brought in. But just this whole idea of going back and forth, that's new to me. I've never seen that before at a sentencing hearing. Usually, all the victims, family people, and representatives go up, and then if somebody wants to speak for the defendant, they go up. There is no questioning. I just, they do their thing. Yeah.
I was watching the beginning of it and I saw you comment that and I was like, oh, this is interesting.
That is very weird.
Like,
yeah, but to the depth of the arguments about what should be the proper sanction, this much time wasted on it, a motion practice, meaning just you would file a motion ahead of time saying here's what our recommended sanction and sentence is. That's where you do this. You don't do this and turn what could be a 45-minute to an hour-long sentencing into a 3.5, 4, or 5 hour ordeal.
yeah.
Also,
yeah.
it gives both sides a chance to respond. There's academic argument. The judge can read that argument ahead of time, get ready for it, digest it, and do their own research. And in the meantime, this judge has got to eat her lunch, do her research, and figure out what was right.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh.
So who was swearing? RaDonda was swearing. She was talking crap. This is why you do not talk to the cops and you don't talk to the press. Okay?
Yeah.
The reporters are not on your side either. They want a story. And to be fair, I'm no different. I want clicks. So I'm not here on her side.
Yeah. And she did come right out and say stuff. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, why?
Yeah. Now, were they allowed to comment on it earlier? The jury's gone. She's already been convicted. I would object out of principle, saying that is not proper. You shouldn't be bringing the fact she used her right to remain silent. The fact she did not, she didn't take the stand to give her statement. She gave her statement unsworn. But generally speaking, I've never seen a defendant be forced to give their statement like sworn or unsworn. If you're just here to say your piece, you just say it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, exactly what I mean. Don't talk to me either. Yes.
Yeah. Silence.
So
And I wonder if part of it too was like social media and the entire nursing community
Yeah.
was very, very angry. And I know they communicated a lot with their office.
I bet they did, but that's
And so I wonder if that's made them butthurt that.
sure it could. I think
Yeah.
that could have. I mean, this is a lot of attention, and when enough people are in your community saying like, "Bro, this isn't probably the thing you should be doing," that's gonna hurt some. Like they are elected officials at the end of the day, so
Yeah.
they have the same level of vanity and whatnot, and I can see that happening.
And I mean, that's the angle we all took that I was
Yeah.
like, all we can do is elect people. So no one ever elect these people again.
Yeah, but that's why if you live in this area and he's your DA, you
Yeah.
keep this in your pocket and remember this is that guy.
Yeah. And
She
they've
was
had a
upset. I
lot-
don't judge, but we're lawyers. Well, here's what I'll tell you: her lawyers are very experienced, so this is probably how it goes down there, and this is the normal thing. So they can't do anything. That they get to speak, and then you get to speak, but you can't really interrupt. That's what I'll say. I've never seen this before, but once again, guys, there are 50 states. Each state has its own, multiple counties, and each county has different courts, and everybody does their things differently. I will just say I've never, ever seen this, but I've only been practicing for 8 years, so I can't say I've been doing this forever, but I've never heard of this in Ohio. And we've watched other cases where people get sentenced. We've never seen this. That doesn't mean it's not normal. It's just this is really weird to me and anybody else who has never seen it before.
Yeah.
And I just feel like maybe they shouldn't do it, but hey,
Yeah. And
I'm
I
just
see
some
someone
guy
in
on
the
the
yeah.
internet.
Someone in the chat is saying that what her comments didn't make her look good. She's thinking if she
Yeah.
had an attitude like that, it would, is she
Yeah.
going to ignore her colleagues and back chat? And to that, I would just say you're a totally different person at work versus out of it. Like I am a lot saucier when I'm not at work than when I'm at work. You know what I mean? So if I was
Yes.
really angry and I wasn't at work, I could easily, if you were suing me, like if I was in a lot, like I would be angry and I would want to fight back and I might swear. I would not be the professional self that I am when I'm in my office. Like,
and
just
remember
to play
this,
devil
guys.
advocate.
You're facing going to prison for 8 years, and these people are coming at you, and they think you're a scumbag, and they're, they're going to say it's nothing personal, but they're trying to put you away and make you do time behind the wall.
So I would just,
are you going to sit there and be like,
yeah.
well, ha, T,
Yeah.
I guess we disagree.
Thank you for the feedback.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that. And
I appreciate your indictment. That's a valid, it's a critique. I'll take that to heart. No, I don't blame her for being mad, but this is where her attorneys really should have wrangled her and said, like, do you have a fucking hole in your head? No, you're not talking to the reporters today.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got a lot of nurses and friends who want to talk for you. Let them run their mouths because they're not on trial.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, she definitely should not have. I just can see why she did it. Like,
yes,
from a.
I understand. It's a lot of frustration.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I know. I would give a lawyer their run for their. They would hate trying to control me if that was me.
Well,
like, Liz, calm down. Calm down, Liz.
Yeah. Well.
I mean, understandably, that's your life.
Yes, and you're gonna look at me like you're telling me to calm down, and I've had that discussion with people, but I've been able to, like, listen here. My job is to make sure you don't go to prison. If you don't let me do my job, you're going to prison. So that usually helps kind of diffuse that.
Yeah.
Where did the judge go to lunch? Shoney's? That would be nice, Shoney's. I mean, I don't know if you've ever. I don't know where you live. I don't know if you've ever had Shoney's, but it's pretty good. I
have not.
Oh,
I lived in Pennsylvania right now, but I've lived all over Michigan.
Yeah, I don't think there's Shoney's up in Michigan. So, yeah, I don't think California either. Yeah, trying to lock somebody in a cage is pretty personal.
Yeah, just a little. It's a good way to get under people's skin.
Yeah, so I came setting a land speed record getting back here, and we still aren't ready. But it's like, I told people 2:00, so I was like, gotta keep my promises to the people.
I know. I mean, she did say 2, right? Now I'm like questioning all of my.
Yeah, no, she said 2.
Okay.
The way people said timing, and now she's on the. Too bad this isn't the judge for Johnny and Amber. I'm pretty sure the Stoney's around. Do I eat Skyline chili? No, and that is down in Cincinnati in the western part of the state. No, and it's disgusting. No, I do not eat Skyline chili. Yeah, wow, 212 people. Holy cow. It's a party in here right now.
Yay.
Yeah, I mean it, everybody. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Yeah. Guys, if you like it, please, hit like, hit subscribe. I do this a lot for different kinds of cases. Do my own content as well. Here. There's some really terrible nurses. Yeah,
there's
just
terrible
like every
nurses
profession.
everywhere. Yeah, in everything. There's
yes.
Nurses are
Skyline
not
chili and
angels.
Gold Star chili both suck. I don't know about Gold Star, but Skyline does suck. That's an Ohio thing, so I don't think you've probably ever ran into it. Nan Robinson, an RN for 16 years. Yeah. Do you think this will, aside from causing nurses to not report errors, that they're going to go slow to make sure, like, I'm going to get this exactly, not necessarily like a I don't know if you've ever heard of a thing called a rule slowdown, where if your boss is giving you crap and you're in a job that, especially like a union job, you say, well, I'm going to follow every single rule because I can't get mad at you because you're following all the rules and protocols. And that, you're telling me to hurry up, but it's like, well, I can't because I'm following all the rules. Do you think for nurses they will be just very, not intentionally slow, but very, very, very deliberative? Maybe
I think it'll
to excess?
depend on how long they've been a nurse. So I would
Yeah.
take that route, and I would take, you're going to get a lot of backlash on the other end. The patients' families are going to be very frustrated. You're going to get yelled at more than you are. The providers are going to get mad at you. They're probably going to yell more than they normally do.
Yeah.
You're going to get a lot of heat for that. Having done it for a long time, I would be totally fine with that. Be like, oh no, I'm going to, CYA over here. Like,
Yes.
don't even worry about it. A young nurse who is just coming into it is not going to be able, who can't even figure out how to prioritize what's the most important.
They're going to
I'm
get
just trying
bum
to keep
rush kind of,
yeah,
right?
I'm just trying to keep my head above water. I
Yeah.
don't like, the last thing I want is to be screamed at even more. They're not going to probably, it's just going to up their frazzle level because now they're panicked. They're like, oh my gosh, if I do make a mistake, you know, they're not going to be able to just slow down and be fine with getting yelled at like someone who's done it a little longer.
I actually grew up near Lorraine, Bella. That's interesting. But yeah, I can only imagine what this does going forward. But yeah, if I was, I mean, especially in that area.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be crazy for those nurses.
It's a mess. And it was already like a mess going into it. And then I think all of these things coming out is just like, nope, no, thank you. But I've seen countless people putting on their own social media, like this is the unsafe situation someone has asked me to be in, you know, I'm not going to do it anymore. And like, yep, now I'm getting yelled at for it. Like, so people are definitely slowing down and saying like, I'm just not going to do it. And I mean, that ends up hurting patients too, because then they're not getting what they need. But nurses are like, we do a lot of things in healthcare that are not officially by the books. And
just like a lot of jobs. Yeah,
exactly. You do it because like, I've used the example of like a code before, if someone's, you know, or an emergency, once you've been around enough of them, you know what's going to happen. And so you would go and maybe acquire all of the things before orders really hit the floor.
Sure.
Because you knew it was going to go. And so now like, I wouldn't do that anymore. I'd be like, oh no, like I need the order to be in the computer, which totally shifts how we do things because so much of it is just an understanding, you know. Then it would be after the entire event happened, you would sit down and the person would be like, so what did you give? And let me order it. Like after the fact. I would never do that now, you know, like I would just not.
Sure. Yeah, but you're like, look, now I can't, if I follow the rules, I can't get in trouble. So
exactly. And that's just going to slow things down insane. Like it's just going to make going to be a whole mess.
And also, hold on one second.
Carly, that is worrying. Like all the new people who are going to get thrown in.
Yeah. So guys, what I will say is I know people were upset about me commenting on the one lady's dress. It looked like she was wearing a jumpsuit. That was just, it looked like it. But as far as like RaDonda, she's not wearing, like, it's court. There isn't a dress code per se, but like if you're showing up to court, you should be wearing sleeves. You shouldn't have bare shoulders. I mean, remember, you know, like you wouldn't show up in Crocs and yoga shorts to a felony sentencing. You need to show up well dressed, okay, as well as you can afford. And that doesn't mean you go out and buy new clothes, but, you know, wear what you would wear to church if you do go to church, or if you're going to a funeral, what you would wear. It's not to pick on her, but I would say, you know, if I were her attorneys, I would have said, here's what you need to wear. Here's what you should be doing. You should look very conservative. Because all those things, remember what I've said this before, a trial is sales. Everything involved in a criminal process is sales. The sentencing is sales. You're trying to sell to the judge that you are a good person. You shouldn't be sent to prison. That, hey, probation's a good idea. Well, part of that, I mean, all those things factor in. How you look. That shows, do you have respect? And are you going to follow the rules? I mean, it all shows up. Sorry, that's just, I wanted to address that from earlier.
Yeah, and I think like she's a very out of the box person.
Yeah.
So I think she's trying to be like, oh, I'm making this statement, but I just think you have to play the game at like you have to play the game that you're approached with. And like in that situation, while it seems great to be like, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna show up like this. Especially living in Tennessee, I would imagine like even the jury, like
well, she does now. Somebody said she's got sleeves on now. They're looking at you in a different
way.
Yeah. And I know when she took the trial, she still had like purple hair, and it's like, it wasn't all purple, but it's like, no. When it's trial, normal hair colors, we're not playing that game. You know, when it's time for trial, you shave. If you have a scraggly beard and it doesn't look good, I will tell you, shave it. I mean, unless you can look presentable with it, you need to be having a look. And now if you have a beard that's nice and big, but you look like you're in ZZ Top, it gets trimmed up. If you leave your hair long, you're going to, you know, shampoo your hair. You're going to get it back in a ponytail. You're not going to look like Rob Zombie walking into court because that doesn't look good.
Don't give people any doorway to judge you for something else.
And as much as this judge, I think she's very impartial, you need to take away every reason possible for the judge to rule against you. And your appearance is like the one thing you can control in that situation. Yeah. So.
And I am like all about the colored hair, piercings, tattoo, whatever. Like I think nursing's weird about how you aren't allowed to show yourself that way, but like I agree. Sure. In court, you cannot play by that game.
So Alpha Fox Adam, send me an email. I put my email in the description. Yeah, I'm working on this guy. It's a big mess right now with him, but it's interesting. This is like a sovereign citizen guy delete laws, so people have been asking me about if I'm going to do something about them, and I do plan on that soon. But guys, like it's nothing personal. It's just court is it's one of those few places where there is still decorum, and that's good or bad. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. Now you start to see things like that starting to slide. Like I've done this before myself. Like attorneys have, you see attorneys wearing like tennis shoes to court, but they're kind of like the nicer, fancier shoes, and they're not just normally leather shoes. You start seeing things like that. I will wear obnoxious jacket and pants combos because I'm wearing a jacket, I'm wearing a shirt and tie, good enough. Especially to like nonsense hearings. So it's nothing against them. It's just, I just take away all the issues. Like I said, now her hair looks really good. So,
and we're still waiting on the sentencing.
Yes, we are on sentencing 2.0, guys.
Yeah, they have not announced it yet.
Yes, maybe the judge went to play golf. I knew a judge. There was a judge when I was in Toledo, when I was a public defender at a law school. The judge would go play a round of golf at times. At lunch, and he would go knock out a round of golf. No joke. Or as a kid saying, no cap. And he would he would knock it out in about an hour 15 minutes. He'd go, I don't know if he got a full round in or got 9 holes in, but he would just plow right through it and come back in and do court, which was very weird. But hey,
whatever makes you happy.
Yeah, well, when you're the judge, you're never late. And
I do. Someone had mentioned earlier Christopher Dunch and Dr. Death. Yes, I do know. I did see that podcast. That is a good example of someone who did take advantage, who manipulated vulnerable people.
Is he the guy they did the whole like Pierce Brosnan thing for? Like there was that movie like on Netflix or Hulu or something, or does it just happen they did one about a doctor killing people?
I think this one was a podcast. I know. I've lived under a rock since having children. I watch Coco Melon mainly.
Yeah.
So that's my life.
Yes.
He was the one he was a neurosurgeon that everyone knew was killing people, like because he was just incompetent. And then he kept trying to do the cases, and no one would stop him. Like no one ever came forward and said.
So he was just incompetent. He wasn't malicious. He was just dangerous. And
he knew it. So that was kind of what came into it. Was seeing his
are you serious? He knew he sucked?
Yeah, like his outcomes were horrible. And he just kept doing it. Yeah. So that had a lot more of a, I paralyzed you. Oh, you died.
Did he go to prison?
Yes. I believe he did go to prison now.
Okay.
It's Dr. Death. It's a whole podcast series.
Okay. Dr. Death's on Peacock. That's what it.
Yes. That's a great example of like abuse of your power as a trusted person. That is a good example, not this. Yes, he's in prison apparently per chat. Thank you, chat.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm like, what the heck? Okay. Well, yeah,
yeah, that was a mess.
That's interesting.
He paralyzed his best friend. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so hold on.
And it
how do I feel? Oh, sorry. Somebody's asking how do I feel about Tony Pacos. I don't like it's Pollock hot dogs. It's nothing fancy. Like I don't know if you go through Toledo, it's like you gotta eat them. They're great. It's like it's a Hungarian hot dog. It's a spicy sausage. Like woohoo. It's all right. The Alec Baldwin show, yeah, he's got his own issues. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh no.
Yeah, so he went to prison. That's a good thing.
Yeah, and that
and you
it
just tell
pointed
me
out
it's
a lot
like,
of
oops.
it pointed out a lot of the holes of how do crappy people get so far in medicine, and a lot of it is like I'll cover your back, type of thing where things don't get reported, they get pushed under
Yeah.
the rug, they get attributed to other things. So it did a good job of kind of exposing like a lot of medicine is who you know and who is willing to cover up for you.
Oh yeah,
And
it's all about
yep,
having a good
and like
rabbi.
you and his was that it was like he never should have even graduated from his residency program because he had not done enough surgeries.
Oh, he was that
Like,
bad? Oh,
yeah, like he had not done them, but he went to top, he was in a lot of really prestigious programs, and they just kind of
my brother's in a
like,
residency program right now. I hope that he's not that guy.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure
He
he's
says he's
not.
good, so I'll take his word for it. Um, uh, yeah, I mean he does like cardiothoracic stuff. So I'm assuming
Yeah, so I'm
I'm
sure he's great.
assuming they haven't fired him. Oh, my mic is staticky.
Yeah, it is starting
Hold
to
on.
get staticky. Let's see. I'm going to scroll back and see if we have
How
any
about
other
that? Is this
questions.
better?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, every once in a while you just gotta pull it in and pop it out.
Yeah, I have the worst microphone troubles in the entire world.
Well, if you ask the people who follow me when I do my Thursday night shows, I have this issue about things getting muted and I talk for minutes on end.
That sounds like
Um,
I have more than once called IT at a nursing job, and my computer was unplugged. I was like, my computer's broken.
Yeah.
They're like, ma'am.
So somebody's asking, will I'm sorry, not Ben Affleck, will Alec Baldwin, oof, that was bad. Will Alec Baldwin get convicted or charged with anything? No, he's not. I can tell you that for sure. And how do I know that for sure? They've released all the evidence, basically. If they were releasing all the evidence, that's the prosecutor basically turning over all their cards. If you're at that point, there's going to be no trial. They are not going to charge him. Hannah Reed might get civilly hammered, but they're not going to go after anybody, I don't think, at this point. Definitely not Alec Baldwin. They're just probably going to wash their hands of it and say, oopsie poopsie, accidents happen. So, your mic sucks. It's breaking up again?
It's better now. It had a moment there, but it's better now.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I did then, but time to upgrade the mic. I just got this like a month ago.
People are harsh.
Yeah. You know what? I'll just leave real quick and come back in.
That sounds good. I'll hold down the fort.
Yeah. Let me see here.
All right. We're going to plan our revolution chat. It can be the internet. It can be all sorts of it's usually not even the microphone. It's how it's connected to your computer, as I have found. Let's see. Dr. Death did his surgical residency at the University of Tennessee. How ironic. Did the hospital get charged for graduating a surgeon who did not even remotely meet the requirements? No. So it wouldn't even really be the med school's fault. Oh, his residency. I hope they got in trouble.
Yeah.
They should.
All right. How is that? Are we better now?
Yeah, that sounds good. People seem to think it's the internet, which I would... Oh, gosh.
Maybe. Gamer word time. Yeah.
So do judges usually already know how they're going to sentence them prior to showing up to these?
Here's what I would say. A lot of times they've already read like the pre-sentence investigation reports. They've generally talked about what they're going to do. They have an idea of what they're going to do generally when they come in. There are times, though, I've seen people talk their way into a prison sentence. And I have seen people talk their way out of a prison sentence every once in a while. And not just the defendant, but also I've made arguments before, and the judge has sat there and they've thought about it for a minute or two on the bench, and they point out, like, I was going to do this, but your attorneys persuaded me, or they'll say, you and your attorney have persuaded me to think differently about this.
Okay,
But
so it's not.
I would say most of the time, though, yes. In this type of situation, I think she would probably going to take some time anyway to think, but I think she's really considering everything that came in today. But yeah, when those letters come in, guys, if you send letters into court, that's an ex parte communication. That you're not even a party to the case, but also it's a communication with the judge about the case, and the defendant's not there, the prosecutor's not there. The judges don't touch those letters. What usually happens is, to prevent that, the judge's secretaries or bailiffs open all their mail, make sure they know what it is, and then they'll pass it on. And if it's something like that, it gets filed, and they note to the judge, hey, we received correspondence regarding this case, but we can't do anything with it. So
Well, she got a lot of correspondence.
I bet she did, and she probably realizes that there's a lot there.
Yeah.
But she's not allowed to read those.
Yeah.
But they can notice.
Yeah, because that was one of the only things we, like, as a nursing community knew to do. Even
Sure.
thought, like, what can you even do here? Like, I know there's, I forget, I think 1,000 people are there outside the courtroom right now.
Oh, I bet. And the judge
Nurses.
probably is aware of all that, and
Yeah.
I think she understands the scope of what she's getting involved in. But yeah, when you send in letters, you have to be careful because most, really any judge wouldn't be reading them. And because think about it, let's say it's 1,000 letters saying, screw her, put her in prison, lock her up for
Yeah.
100 years.
Yeah.
And she was, let's say she reads all those, and you're the defendant. You're like, whoa,
Yeah.
what are
Yeah.
you doing? That's not part of the game.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense looking
yeah.
at it now, logically. I'm like,
Sure. Oh no, and I'm not I'm just pointing out that I think that's where
no, for sure.
some judges do, and some judges say they do, and I'm torn when they say they read those letters because those are extra, judicial communications. But there's
that makes a lot of
I would
sense.
yeah. Kim Potter's judge said she read a lot of letters, and I think I don't know if I like that or not. I'm torn because there's times where yes, I want them to read all the good stuff, but not the bad stuff.
You can't
But
have
when
it
you
both ways.
open your door to reading letters, you're reading all the letters, good and bad. Well, Brittany, you're learning something here. Yes, being rich and powerful does a lot.
Yep.
She's not milking her fame. She's being a judge. Judges are notoriously late. Interesting. I did not know that. If you send a letter to a judge, it's scanned to the dock as public information.
Oh,
That's very interesting.
I never realized prior to kind of getting RaDonda's case was what got me into like looking into the legal side of things. I never realized how different states were, like how different laws were so different in different
Oh,
states.
yeah. It's basically there's, the Bill of Rights and all the Supreme Court case law attached to that. And that's it. You have to, if you comply with that, you can do whatever you want in the meantime.
Yeah. I had no idea. I was like, oh, okay.
Can you send the link for this?
I'll put it in the chat.
I was going to say, do they want me to like the
If
the
you go-
YouTube link or?
Yeah, if you go to the YouTube link,
Oh, that's what they want. Okay, that's what I.
Do they
Yeah,
want
that's
that?
fine. I'll put it in. I'm just like I figured they would have access to it too. I mean, that's what I assume they were wanting. So, yeah, and I will say I do my best to try to make that not the case. I try to do the best I can for whoever I'm working with.
interesting. That was the right link, it looks like.
Yeah.
And so you're a
Yeah, I'm not
prosecutor.
gonna, guys. because I don't know if that's what you're asking for as a StreamYard link, I'm not just going to give that out willy-nilly because I know Liz. I know who she is. I respect her opinions. I know she's got the knowledge, so that's why I'd probably limit it unless it's other people I've been on with before. Try to limiting things. Oh, thank God no one took me up on it. Okay. Judge is an hour behind schedule. Yeah. She might be on the 9th hole, guys. Give her a chance. She's got to putt. Got to finish up.
They have not done the sentencing yet, no.
No, we're still waiting. And yes, for her right now, this is pure hell. Waiting and just get it over with. Like, let me know my fate.
Yeah.
Let me be at peace.
Renee said that local and state laws are insane. It's illegal to tie an alligator to a fire hydrant in her county.
Yep, there's all kinds of laws like that. Yeah, you can only fish in certain ways. You can't kill. There's all kinds of weird laws out there.
In Pennsylvania, I learned you can't get your car registered when it's raining because which I went to go get my car registered and it was raining and they turned me away because the person who has to go out and read your VIN number might slip and fall in the rain. I was like, what?
Sounds like they paid a workers' comp claim on that at some point.
Yep, I was like,
how quick would this have been with Borowski? Yeah, this would have been quick. A judge is never early nor are they late. Yes, that's true. She's not late. When she starts, court starts. So that's kind of the neat part about being a judge. Yeah, it all depends on where you're at. A lot of the areas I'm in, the judges are pretty good about being on time, maybe a couple minutes, but some are like right on the nose, and some are you can kind of factor in. They say 9:30, but if I get there at 9:35, I know I'm still early. Happens all the time. There are some judges who I was in front of a judge once who he was a retired judge, but he had been a judge in this county before. And he came on the bench, and he was late. And he was chastising himself. And I found out from somebody that back when he was sitting judge, if he was late to the bench, even by a minute or two, he would fine himself. He would hold himself in contempt and fine himself like $5, $10.
oh my gosh.
And he went and he went and paid it. But I think that's one of those things, though. It sounds funny and goofy, but you appreciate that they take this very seriously. There's one judge in particular I know of, and he's probably one of the best judges I've been in front of. If things are late, he actually does start off by saying, he'd say, Defendant Liz, I know you were here on time. I know you were here ready to go. The court apologizes for being late. It does not intend to do that in the future. We hope that you don't have a negative view of the court for being late. Your case is important to us. Not the things you'd hear from court. A lot of judges say, well,
Yeah.
screw it, we're starting. So it's some judges, it's a very big deal for them. Some judges, it's like, I said, we have a hearing at 8:30. I'll show up at 9:45. There's another judge that I know that does that. I'm not going to say names.
You're like, oh.
Yeah, I'm not around them. I'm not around that person anymore. But I don't really. Never know if I ever will be again. So Pittsburgh, that's a horrible city. You like
I don't think
Pittsburgh?
I've driven through Pittsburgh. I've never.
Pittsburgh is a
actually
horrible city with
Over there.
horrible people in it. And the Yinzers. Oh. Stuff. So just, like when I watch Pittsburgh and Baltimore play football, I'm not rooting for either team. I'm rooting for like an asteroid to hit or something.
That's amazing.
Dirty people with a
I
dirty
got my
language.
condolences. Philly's insane too, though. That's a different breed of human.
I like Philly. They boot Santa Claus. That takes some balls.
I do. I mean, that's what I mean. Like, they're a very rare. It's a
Yes.
different breed of human. I'm like,
Yes. Mhm. Yeah, I'm actually going to be driving through Philly in like a week. Gonna go to a
I
wedding.
hope it treats you well.
I think it'll be fine.
We moved away to more of the country, so we're away from like all the traffic because
Okay.
I couldn't hang it. I couldn't hang anymore. I was like, I can't do this.
No. Well, you ever go to Centralia, Pennsylvania? Have you
Yeah.
ever heard of that place with the mine fire?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's we might be stopping there on the way back because I've always
that's
wanted to go there.
cool.
It looks cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah.
We drove by and we had my daughter with us, who was just a tiny baby, so we didn't get to explore very much because that just felt a little bit, you know.
Yeah. Hey, come around and take your baby and huff sulfur and coal fumes. Yeah. Slap Murphy, Cleveland, the mistake by the lake. I don't deny that. I accept it. Oh, was Pittsburgh mean to you? That just yes, they were. Yes, that's true. At least it's not Detroit.
Yeah. Susan was pointing out how the prosecution had so many witnesses, and RaDonda didn't have very many.
Are you
I don't
talking
know enough
about
about
during the trial?
I think so. Yeah, during back when
That's-
it was.
Well, that's I mean, I didn't get a chance to watch the trial, but that's not uncommon. I mean,
Okay.
the state generally always has more witnesses. I mean, I covered Mario Batali's trial this week. You remember him from Food Network?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that was a trial where the prosecution had 2 witnesses, and then he just sat there and kept his mouth shut when it was his turn to present evidence. And, you know, it doesn't, yeah. Dr. Husel, they had like 50, 60 witnesses, and Husel just threw up his doctor,
Yeah,
his
his
expert, and that
one.
was it.
I know.
Which-
That was.
If you did you watch that?
I did. Yeah.
I didn't know that about the whole, like, if it's medical grade fentanyl, you really can't kill someone with it. You can just really
Yeah.
Yeah, that was impressive to learn.
Yeah. I get where he's coming. That isn't. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he was
Interesting.
explaining when they did the lethal injection of it with somebody. It's like,
Yes. So it doesn't kill you. It just leads to things that definitely will. Type of
yeah,
a situation. So okay, yes, technically not breathing does, you know.
yes, but
Yeah.
he said that they eventually they gave him so much they just had to give him, I think, some more benzos, and that finally killed
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. I mean, that was horrifying. That was. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's the bad part about those companies not selling the drugs anymore. Is that they had the science experiment on that guy.
Yeah.
He still got his license revoked. He surrendered his
Mm-hmm.
license to practice medicine, which I kind of understand. Ohio has not been very kind to you, so you're just like, screw it, I'm out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he's pretty much done forever now as a doctor anywhere. So
Because anyone's going to Google your name whenever they
mean,
want
you
you
could
to
probably go
provide
to,
care
like-
for them. So
you could probably go to like one of those medical, like the Ross School or wherever it is down like in the Caribbean or something, and
yeah.
they'd probably
Yeah.
hire you. Probably get hired somewhere with a less than stellar medical system. Just gonna cut his losses and be done.
I was going to say, the healthcare system is just such a mess right now that I would just, be like, all right, never mind.
Yeah. Well, Susan, I will state, and the way the board rules are, they point out that if you surrendered for any reason, it's automatically revoked. It can never be reinstated. So, no, to be coroner, you have to have a medical degree in Ohio. I'm pretty sure. We're also one of the few, well, a lot of states still have coroners, but a coroner and a medical examiner are not the same thing, guys. Medical examiner technically has to be like a pathologist. A coroner, in many places, especially in Ohio with a lot of rural counties, it's the local family practitioner who, they get some grant money, they get to put a cooler in their office for a body.
Holy cow.
Oh, yeah, well, my first job as a prosecutor was in a county of 40,000 people, and I met the coroner, and you walk into his office, and in the back room, there's a cooler that he got grant money for, and you put the body in there, and you call up Dayton, Ohio, which is the nearest big city, or Columbus, Ohio, saying like, hey, can you guys do an autopsy for us? Here it is, come pick it up, and they come out, pick up that actually happens a lot in these areas. The, bigger cities will do the autopsies and all the work.
Yeah.
So,
Dang.
yeah. Oh no, he's not going to be allowed to do anything medical related. He's
No.
not even going to be allowed to wipe butts in a nursing home. So
Yeah.
even if somebody wanted to hire him, anything licensed wise, he can't.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, no, unless they can prove the judge acted and gave an illegal sentence, saying like, let's say it was a mandatory sentence. Can the and the judge says, "I'll give you probation." The prosecutor could appeal that and say the judge broke the law. He has to follow the law, and the appeals court would say, "Judge, you need to follow the law," and they'd order them to resentence. But usually judges don't do that, so usually that's not going to happen. But it could sometimes.
Yeah. And everybody should like this stream if you're watching. That
Yeah,
tells
guys,
the YouTubes
appreciate it.
that
Yeah, holy
it
cow,
spreads it out to all the
361
people.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, guys,
know.
yeah, like and subscribe. Holy cow, that's a lot. It's a little different than
We're
I'm
trying
used
to. We're. I know. I put
Not-
it on
not-
mine, and I know I have a couple. Like I think a few people have
We're not Nick Ricada levels, but we're getting there.
hopped over.
All rise.
I guess we're nothing like being an hour and 10 minutes late. So here we go, sports fans. Yeah.
Pull off on my time estimate, I apologize for the delay. Okay. So this case came today to be heard for the sentencing of the defendant, RaDonda Vaught, on her conviction following a jury trial of impaired adult abuse, a Class C felony in violation of TCA 71-6-119, and criminally negligent homicide, a Class E felony in violation of TCA 39-13-212. In determining the appropriate sentence for this offense, this court has considered the evidence presented at trial and the sentencing proceeding today, the pre-sentence investigation report and all corrections and additions to that report, the sentencing considerations outlined in TCA 4035-103, the nature and characteristics of the criminal conduct involved, the evidence and information offered on enhancing and mitigating factors, the defendant's statement here at sentencing, and the defendant's potential for rehabilitation or treatment. From all of this, the court finds as follows. The parties have agreed that the defendant is a Range 1 standard offender pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated 4035-105, subject to a sentence range of 3 to 6 years at 30% release eligibility for a Class C felony, which is the impaired adult abuse conviction, and 1 to 2 years at 30% release eligibility for a Class E felony, which is the criminally negligent homicide conviction. By statute, this court is required to impose a sentence within those ranges. In making that determination, the court is required to consider but is not bound by 2 guidelines. Number 1, the minimum sentence within the range of punishment is the sentence that should be imposed, because the General Assembly set the minimum length of sentence for each felony class to reflect the relative seriousness of each criminal offense in the felony classifications. And 2, the sentence length within the range should be adjusted as appropriate by the presence or absence of mitigating and enhancement factors, as set out in Tennessee Code Annotated 4035-113 and 114. So with those considerations in mind, the court has considered evidence supporting statutory enhancement and mitigating factors. The state proposes that enhancement factor number 14, that the defendant abused a position of public or private trust, is applicable. Ordinarily, this circumstance applies in situations in which a defendant has specific or unique access that permits the commission of an offense. Examples of those types of cases are sexual offenses committed by caretakers, which was a situation in State versus Kissinger, which was the state the case cited by the state at argument. Other situations include where a defendant has access to internal records or accounts and uses that access to commit financial offenses or forgeries. State versus Franklin, 919 Southwest 2nd, 362, and State versus Finch, 465 Southwest 3rd, 584, are examples of those types of situations. Application in those types of contexts and the use of the term abuse in the enhancement factor itself suggests to the court that a higher level of culpability than simple criminal negligence is required to meet the standard, and thus does not find that this particular enhancement factor applicable to count 2, criminally negligent homicide. As to count 1, impaired adult neglect, the court also declines to apply the factor because the caregiver or trust relationship is an essential element of the offense and may not be duplicated through enhancement.
Good.
The court has also considered certain mitigating factors and has heard proof on those today. The defense first proposes application of factor number 11, that the defendant, although guilty of a crime, committed the offense under such unusual circumstances that it is unlikely that a sustained intent to violate the law motivated the criminal conduct.
Good.
The court agrees that this factor is applicable here. This offense occurred in a medical setting. It was not motivated by any intent to violate the law, but through oversight and gross negligence and neglect, as the jury concluded. The defendant also accepted responsibility immediately. She made every effort in the moment that she recognized her error to remedy the situation, to notify the appropriate individuals, and then later to ensure that all of the facts and details were brought to light. The court has also heard proof today on the catch-all enhancement factor, factor number 13, and finds several circumstances applicable under that provision. First, the court observes that the defendant's acceptance of responsibility immediately and her remorse throughout this proceeding support application of factor 13. Testimony and letters from friends and colleagues attesting to her work ethic, her character, her kindness and generosity also support application of this factor. The court has also considered the fact that Ms. Vaught will never again be in a position to repeat this fatal error. She has been stripped of her nursing license and has started a new livelihood outside of the healthcare profession. All of these factors and considerations support the application of the catch-all mitigating circumstance number 13. The court has also considered the Murphy family and their terrible loss. Nothing that happens here today can reverse that loss or ease that pain. And I have seen from my own experience, not only on the bench, but in my previous practice experience, that sometimes it seems that the attention in criminal cases tends to shift as the case goes on from the victim to the offender. In this particular proceeding, the attention is obviously on Ms. Vaught because I have to determine the appropriate punishment and result and outcome from the jury verdict. But I want to assure the Murphy family that this court is deeply mindful and sorry for their loss. It is my hope that changes in the practices and protocols in the medical setting that have arisen since this event may at least be some positive aspect that has arisen, and that going forward, I hope that it prevents this type of situation from happening again. I recognize, however, that that will never be enough to heal your wounds. Considering the applicable mitigating factors here and the absence of any applicable enhancement factors, the court will, as to count 1, impaired adult abuse, set the sentence at 3 years. As to count 2, the court sets the sentence at 2 years for criminally negligent homicide. This is the maximum amount of time allowable by law that this court would be allowed to impose for criminally negligent homicide. And the court does so in recognition of the terrible loss sustained by the Murphy family.
Are you serious right now?
These terms will run concurrently, there being no evidentiary or statutory basis in this case for consecutive sentencing. So the sentence in this case will be an effective 3-year sentence. The court has also considered whether to grant or deny alternative sentencing. The law requires that the court consider alternative sentencing regardless of whether it's requested. And by statute, the court has to consider a number of specific elements. The court has done that. The court finds that the defendant's potential for rehabilitation is great. The court further finds that the defendant will likely abide by the terms of probation based upon the testimony before the court, based upon the information in the pre-sentence report, which places her chance of recidivism as low and the need for intensive supervision as low. The court finds that the defendant is not likely to reoffend. As I stated earlier, she's no longer in a medical setting. She no longer possesses a nursing license. The court also does not find that a probationary sentence will unduly depreciate the seriousness of the offense. The proof at trial and the proof here at this sentencing demonstrated, I think, that Ms. Vaught is well aware of the seriousness of the offense. She immediately and consistently accepted responsibility for her actions, and she credibly expressed remorse in this court. The more challenging issue for the court has been the question of judicial diversion.
I don't think she's getting diversion.
Specifically, whether the defendant is even eligible for diversion with respect to count 1. The defendant in this case was charged and convicted for a violation of Tennessee Code Annotated 71-6-119. The offense was committed in 2017. On May 24th, 2019, Governor Bill Lee signed into law Chapter 2019 Public Acts, Chapter 474. That act was entitled the Elderly and Vulnerable Adult Protection Act of 2019. With respect to Title 71, the act amended Tennessee Code Annotated 71-6-124 addresses a circumstance that's unrelated to this case. But notably, the Act expressly, and I quote, deleted in their entireties sections 71.6.117 and 71.6.119, the provision under which the defendant was convicted here. Those crimes in 71.6.117 and 71.6.119 no longer exist. They were replaced by new offenses that are similar, but they are not the same. Tennessee Code 71.6.119 is no longer excluded from diversion under Tennessee Code Annotated 40.35.313. Perhaps it was the intention of the legislature that it still be excluded, but it was not by the plain language of the statute. The legislature was surely aware of TCA 40.71.6.119 when it amended 40.35.313 and when it adopted the Elderly and Vulnerable Adult Protection Act of 2019. And it could have kept that code section in the list, among the list of excludable offenses in 40.35.313, but it did not. And this court does not have the authority to look behind the plain language of the statute and try to glean an intent that is not expressly stated in the statute. The court thus concludes that an offense under Tennessee Code 71.6.119 is no longer disqualifying for purposes of diversion. Again, whether that was an oversight or mistake or whatever the intention of the legislature was, the legislature speaks through its acts, and this court can't second guess or go behind the plain language. The defendant has requested diversion for both offenses in this case, and the court has considered the factors set out in State versus Electroplating, 990 Southwest 2nd 211. The factors that the court are required to consider in determining whether to grant a judicial diversion are the accused amenability to correction, the circumstances of the offense, the accused criminal record, the accused social history, the accused physical and mental health, the deterrence value to the accused as well as others, and whether judicial diversion will serve the interest of the public as well as the accused. With respect to the circumstances of the offense, the court finds that there was no sustained intent to violate the law, and that the defendant is highly amenable to correction. She has no criminal record. She's been removed from the healthcare setting. She will never practice nursing again. This situation will never be repeated by Ms. Vaught. The court is particularly concerned about the deterrent, or has looked most carefully at the deterrence value to the accused as well as others, and whether judicial diversion will serve the interests of the public as well as the accused. The court does not find that a denial of diversion will in any way undermine any deterrence. In fact, there's no deterrence value by denying deterrence in this, by denying diversion in this case. This was a terrible, terrible
Yeah, it sounds like she's going to grant it.
mistake. And there have been consequences to the defendant. Serious personal consequences, financial consequences, professional consequences, and now public consequences in a criminal setting. court also does not find that judicial diversion would in any way undermine public interest.
She's gonna get it.
Again, this is not a situation that involved any sustained intent. And changes, modifications, responses that have occurred as a result will certainly serve a greater value in preventing a reoccurrence than by denial of diversion in this case. The court therefore finds that judicial diversion is appropriate and will enter an order today placing the defendant on supervised probation for an effective period of 3 years, and will defer entry of judgment pending successful completion of that probation. And that will be the order of the court.
That's best case scenario, guys.
All rise.
Oh,
Court
yay.
stands adjourned until Wednesday morning at 9 a.m.
What a freaking relief. What a relief. Oh.
Okay, so, yeah, that's the look of a woman who's had the weight of the world taken off her shoulders.
Yep.
So she was given diversion. That allows her after a time, if she completes things, and did the court, I had to run to the door. If things are completed, she can eventually get out from underneath this. Guys, this is even better than probation. Probation is you don't go to jail or prison. That's what I thought she was ultimately going to get, but she's got an option for a way out. No prison time, no jail time either. I mean, she basically just scored like a grand slam in the bottom of the ninth. She got everything she wanted out of this. So, yeah, that was a very... I mean, it's a good result, but remember, though, she still got convicted, so she still had to go through all this. So, yeah, you know, the court may have made the right decision, but we had to get all the way through this to get to that point.
And I think one thing that's good is she really explained it well. The judge explained it well in a way that I hope gets other people to not do criminal charges against similar things that happen like this, to kind of lay it out and say like, hey, you know, this is not what this is used for.
Yes, I think that's the case here. Normally the judges, when they lay out their findings at sentencing, are not this well outspoken on it. But yes, this is her point, though. This is a first-time offender who's done something that probably won't ever happen again, and she won't ever do again. And even if she was in the position to do it again, she would never do it again.
Yeah.
So all the incentives normally for the purposes of punishment and sentencing, you know, to rehabilitate an offender, deter future conduct, and also send a message to the community, none of that's present here. And this is where, you know, and you probably haven't heard me before on my streams, you talk about, you know, what's justice? You know, what do we gain from society by prosecuting RaDonda Vaught, but then also throwing her in a cell for a while? Do we gain anything from that? You know, is there, you know, how do we get anything out of that? And then Farm Girl, their stock. Yeah, no, somebody died and it's horrible. But is doing what we just did to this woman an acceptable reciprocity of punishment? Is this justice? I mean, did she do something that she should have been made to stand tall and possibly face going to prison for 8 years for? No, I don't think that was the proper remedy there. You know, she's mentally destroyed. I mean, I guarantee you she's in a better spot she is now than 20 minutes ago, but, you know, this is going to ruin her mentally, and, you know, she's never going to be a nurse. She's never going to be, you know, when she applies for a job anywhere, they're going to Google her name. Yeah. So.
Mm-hmm. And even if
sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you there, Liz.
Oh, no, you didn't. And I think even if they had given her jail time, that wouldn't have made the woman, that would not have like reversed what happened. It was a horrible tragedy what happened to that woman. But if you criminally charge someone and then give them jail time, no one is going to come forward when things like this happen again, because we know they happen tens of thousands of times a year. And medication errors that cause death happen tens of thousands of times a year. And if they're not reported, if you're worried about going to jail, you're not going to report it. And
Yes.
so that, like, everyone here, I think, wants people to be safe and never, like, do not want more people to die in this way. And this is how
exactly.
and so you, like, this is just not the channel for that, but I'm very relieved.
And what I was going to say is, joining us is Rob now from Law and Lumber.
The famous
Busting Amber's bed myth.
Hi, Nurse Liz. It's nice to meet you.
Yes.
You too.
Yes, you are apparently what's wrong with the American justice system. Apparently, Rob.
I am.
So you
What
know.
is wrong with everything? I'm just as bad as TikTok.
Yes, I know. And that rap music, and when the kids start smoking that hippie lettuce.
All that reefer. Yeah.
Yeah. Real quick though, guys, what I was going to say is, and I learned this from, I heard a judge say this, and it really stuck with me. You don't send people to prison because you hate them. You send people to prison because you're afraid of them, and you're worried what they're going to do. And are you afraid of RaDonda Vaught? No, you're not. Are you upset with her? Sure, you can be mad at her, and you could say, sure, it's her fault and whatever you want to think. But remember, what's the purpose of justice? Does doing what you want get us anywhere close to it? So, anyways, Rob, I know you had a chance to watch this. What are you thinking?
I was trying to play a little catch up, and I'm so far behind on this case. I actually had to look it up like while they were on break. But in the morning, trying to play catch up on this and watching it, that was some of the hardest things I've ever watched as far as the sentencing is concerned. The fact that it sounded like they were eliciting additional evidence. Like it was the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
It made me really uncomfortable because it wasn't just like this woman has been through the pain of having a very public criminal trial. It's that now we have to rehash it and either make her out to be a monster or a saint. And then there are no winners in this case. Nobody wins.
No. Now, I will say part of, and I've done this before myself at a sentencing for somebody, if you've gone out and committed new crimes or there's more criminal conduct suspected, you're allowed to bring that up. But to go to the extent of, well, charges haven't been filed, we're not necessarily sure this is a thing, when they're talking about she lied on a form to go buy a firearm, under federal law, you can't buy a firearm if you're under indictment. And she was. Okay, so yes, it sounds like she committed a problem, but nothing's been charged, nothing's happened yet. That's not what should be brought up. But you're allowed to bring up, has she violated bond? Has she statements she has made? Because those are all fair game. If they got in trouble in the meantime, like I had one where the guy was potentially facing prison and we were asking for it, but like the week before his sentencing, he got a DUI. All those, and it was a pretty bad DUI. I mean, he had a neighbor's mailbox through his windshield. There's all those things you can show, and those are fine. But the way they started questioning the people that were coming out to vouch for her about it, well, how do those people know what she did? Like, they don't know. They don't know what's going on. This was a very weird sentencing, but this must be normal for Tennessee because even the defense attorney seemed to go along with it. But I've never, ever seen that before myself. And I don't know about Virginia, Rob, but I'm assuming you're kind of saying, like, this seems even weird for Virginia.
It just, like I said, it just made me really uncomfortable. Like I sat here in I would have jumped on the stream, but I was visibly uncomfortable by what I was seeing.
Well, you're more than welcome to come and be uncomfortable with the rest of us. So misery.
I'm pretty sure that was my face the whole time.
Yeah.
Like,
misery loves company. So,
and you look at her face throughout the entire proceeding, and it wasn't like she was having a singular moment of a breakdown. This entire trial appears to be just one long continuous breakdown, and this woman's broken.
Oh yeah, this was public. They dragged her for how many years now? And it's funny because she jumped out in front, and that's the one thing I will say in these situations, she jumped right out in front of it. The day it happened, she was making sure it was known, hey, I screwed up. And then her hospital covered it up for years and years on end.
Yep. And I can't imagine walking into a room where you're coding someone and saying, I did this. Like, I cannot imagine having to do that. And the fact that she did, I mean, like, I think to me, that was like the biggest thing was you walked into a room where everyone was staring and like literally said, like, I made this huge error. And
Yeah, your
that is
buddy
why
just
this is happening.
Yeah, your buddy's got the machine fired up to give her chest compressions, and somebody's running the bag, and you're like, "Oh, by the way, I did this. Sorry."
Yeah, like that. Having been in those situations, you know, like, that would just be.
Well,
I can't.
Instinct Blues. I guess I'll just say it like this. I know you don't screw up, but you know, airline pilots fuck up and they kill a ton of people. I mean, everybody screws up. You know, eventually somebody's going to be trying to fly this, not space shuttle, but, you know, you fly enough rocket ships, you're going to crash and burn on those too. So, you know, things happen.
So I've got a legal example of this type of situation. Basically, imagine this is a murder trial. And, in any single trial, you have to produce, as the prosecutor, they have a burden of producing every single element to prove the offense. Well, one of those things is you have to actually prove a homicide. You actually have to prove that someone is dead. And imagine a prosecutor goes through and they've done this trial 5 million times and they forget to prove one element. Now that case gets dismissed summarily. That person is now acquitted. And they've done it 9 million times, but that one day, they forgot to ask one question out of a series of thousands that they've done every day their entire career. And now a person is either in jail or a person is acquitted. It is, you can't judge a person's entire career by their very worst moment.
Yeah. I actually know of a prosecutor down south. I actually know her because I'm familiar with her from my undergrad years. A guy had escaped from a state institution. He was a murderer, and he had escaped and was running around the county causing problems. And she forgot to introduce venue, which is proving that it happened in the specific county. And if you can't prove it happened in your county, there's no jurisdiction to try a case. So the charges against him were dismissed. And, they can't come back, jeopardy attached, and it was all done. Yeah, people do screw up. That's just how the world goes. So, yeah, guys, she got diversion, which is even better than probation. She actually has a way out of this. Now, if you're worried about
Can you explain
things,
what that is when you have
So-
a
Yeah, I was going to ask, is
so
that just a deferred disposition?
basically, if she completes everything, she'll get this removed from her record. Now, remember, the way it works for licensure boards, like nursing, anything like that, you have to tell them if something's been wiped off your record, and they can check and find out, because even though it's off your record, courts keep records of things. It doesn't just get shredded into a million pieces. Now, like, I think in California, they actually do that, completely destroy your record. But generally speaking, even then, the prosecutor knows you did this. Other people know you did this. So it doesn't just go away. Yeah.
when you go to get your license, it asks, have
Yeah.
you ever been charged? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. They will find out about it. So it's not as though she's just going to walk away from this and,
And she would never want to work as a nurse again.
Yeah.
I see people in the chat asking, like, would she, could she go to a different state? She
Yeah.
never would want to do this again.
just like
after.
Dr. Husel, he's never practicing again. She's never going to practice again. No state's going to let her practice again.
And I'm sure she doesn't want to.
Sure. And
Like,
I'm sure she wouldn't even want to be a vet tech at this point.
that's what I mean. Like,
No.
she wants nothing that's going to, you would never trust yourself again after that. Like,
Yeah.
She's going to be in therapy for the rest of her life.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
So, this is from Alpha Fox Adam. I think you're a law student the way you've talked about some of the things you posted so far. That this neither sentencing nor the conviction sets any real legal precedent. I disagree. It's not in the sense that this is automatically a crime in that area of Tennessee, or in Tennessee this is a crime. But now, if I'm a prosecutor somewhere, I can look at this and say, this is a roadmap. What did they do that worked? The same way, if I'm a defense attorney and I find out somebody in the next town over, the next county over, tried a case and won, okay, what did they do? What did they present? How did they present it? Can I use that to work for me? So yes, it's not in the same way that a court has said this is acceptable, but yes, this does set a bit of an issue in that area of Tennessee. You could possibly face a prosecution. Now, for example, where you live, Liz, you're in a different state. You know, where Rob, where you live, you're in a different state, and you're a couple hundred miles away. Yeah, do I think this would happen there? No. But if you're in that area and you're that part of Tennessee, this is a very real possibility going forward. Especially if you're in this county. That DA is still the same DA, so he could charge you.
What county is this?
It's wherever Nashville is. I don't know if that's...
okay. So,
yeah,
generally speaking, a more left-leaning side of Tennessee.
Yeah, this isn't like, you know, Pig Knuckle, Tennessee or anything like that out in the boonies. But it's just a matter of, you know, and like Liz and I were talking about, you know, how far down the scale of screw-ups does the liability stop? That it's just, okay, well, it's a civil matter, go sue the person. Because, yeah, this is... I'd argue this, I mean, how many, there has to be millions of stories like this. I mean, this sounds like a law school exam. I mean, at least to me, she took the wrong medicine out and paralyzed the lady and she suffocated. I mean, so I don't, I don't think it's not as precedential setting nationwide, but in that area of the world, this is still a bombshell, I would argue.
And it is and it just, I think it gets the idea in people's ears. And like there's with the Christine Ganey case in Pennsylvania, that DA, the DA, he literally said, he released a statement saying he was going to come after anyone who did anything like she did. Yeah. So like obviously not the same state, but kind of just getting it out there that like, oh yeah, this is just what we do. Yeah. And it's like, ooh.
Yeah. Also, Alpha, I wasn't making fun of you. I was just saying it, just the way you were phrasing it. I was just noticing you were bringing up some different aspects that normally a normie doesn't bring up. So that's all I was trying to get across. So yes, apparently it's Davidson County, Tennessee.
Okay. When you talk about the precedent, this isn't just that this is setting a precedent. This is a case that's kind of in line of precedent that's already being set, where we're starting to blur this line between criminal and civil liability. I mean, you saw this with the Kim Potter trial. You saw this with a lot of other stuff. And there used to be a very clear, bright line distinction in the law that existed pretty solidly as far as DA prosecutorial discretion, where if it was a question, the DA would opt against prosecuting because the civil remedy was still there. Now you have motivated DAs who are trying to make their bones on cases that have high publicity. And the way they do that is they take a gray area case where you've got a mix where there is there's solid civil liability and possible criminal liability, and they want a sensationalized trial. I mean, even judging from the chat, you can see that there are two opinions and two minds about everything that's being done here. And if you can get a trial like that in the media, don't be mistaken. These DAs are politicians. They want that divisive issue. They want a 50-50 split. And even if they take a loss, they'll prosecute the case.
Well, and we saw this with the DA himself because he was sitting at that table. RaDonda had actually, in between the jury going to deliberation or verdict, she was talking a little bit of shit in the hallway at the trial about a month ago, and it was on the news, and that got aired during it got aired as part of her sentencing, which that's fair game. Anything you say will be used against you. But then the prosecutor got up, and you could hear him, the DA got up, and he was just caterwauling and crying about, oh my God, I'm just getting bagged on by how dare this woman talk to me. But also, it was also, how dare all these nurses all over the country are just taking a crap on me. You could hear it in his voice. He was very upset by it. And it was kind of pathetic. It's like, come on, bro, you are a DA. Like, you deal with like murderers and dudes running around up at people's houses with like guns and sawed-off shotguns, like doing real work and getting their hands dirty, and like, this is what gets you upset? Like, come on, man. Like, it was very sad, but you could tell for him, maybe he thinks he wants to be the Attorney General of Tennessee. I don't know, but yes, you could tell he did not like the blowback.
It reminded me of when my children come to me and they're like, she pushed me. It wasn't a cute look.
Yeah. I would just tell that DA to ice up. I mean, you're coming at this woman like this. This is what did you expect to happen? And I would argue, yeah, Rob, this is on that edge of the gray zone. I mean, this isn't even where it's like, okay, yeah, maybe. I mean, like by the slimmest margins, I'm like, this is not a ethical issue, in my opinion. And I say by the slimmest of margins. Because, this is just, I hate to say it, mistakes do happen.
I mean, they do. And that results in death a lot. And it happens a lot every single day. And every single mistake that results in death isn't always a crime. It's not automatically a crime. There is such a thing as actual mental culpability. You have to have a certain requisite intent. Now, that can be negligence. It can be recklessness, depending on the severity of the crime. But there has to be some mental faculty there that creates, that takes it from the civil to the criminal.
Oh, well, you'll get a kick out of this. There was I'm sorry, hold on. Liz, I assume you like this guy saying, "Where's pharmacy? Where's pharmacy?" Well, she got charged with elder abuse as part of the issue. And they claim she held a position of power and that she had a position of trust and she abused it. And they were arguing for sentencing enhancements prior to this. And to listen to the prosecution, they were arguing she negligently abused her power, basically. And even Liz, she's like, how you can't do that? And
no.
Yeah, you can't negligently abuse power. I mean, if it's power, you're abusing it.
Abuse by nature is a willful act. It's a willful act.
Yes. You can't negligently do a willful act. And they were already arguing that she shouldn't have been not only just diversion, but they were arguing that this should then cause I don't know under Tennessee how it would work, but it sounds like almost a presumption for prison at that point. And the judge had to stop them, but they were already well down that road. And that's where the crazy part about it for me is, this isn't like somebody who I'm just doing my job. I'm here to prosecute this person. They really think she should be sitting in a hole right now, which blows my mind. They truly think that's the proper sanction here.
Well, and that was the Kim Potter prosecutor too. If you listen to his closing argument and then you listen to his sentencing report, the disparity between those two arguments were crazy.
Oh yeah.
I mean, at closing argument, he willfully misstated what the law was on this issue, because there's no way you don't state it that way. And he argues that this person has to be convicted, they're a monster. Well, he goes outside of the courtroom and he sees how the court of public opinion really felt this, that this was in fact an accident. Then the juror comes out and does that report and said, we understand that she didn't mean to shoot the firearm, but you have to pay the consequence. And I was like, whoa, that itself right there is an admission that you were applying the wrong law. And then the prosecutor shows up at sentencing, and because he's a political animal, has completely backtracked and asked for a probationary disposition. And this is the reverse of that. I mean, a prosecutor coming in here, you're blind. You become blind by your own power and your own strength. And they have real power. You want to talk about people that are in a power to commit acts of abuse. Prosecutors are them, man.
Yeah, and I've explained this to people before when they ask me, how does it work? When you indict someone, I'm like, literally there's a template form, and I can type in stuff, and I can go to the grand jury, and I can get you indicted for a lot of different things. It's a very powerful process, but, to get that indictment put together, if you look at it, I mean, it's literally something I type some info in and the printer spits it out. It's not like it's been consecrated. It's not specially inked. It's not on special paper. There's a doctor here in Ohio who he surrendered his license after being acquitted of murder recently. And I just explained to people these orders and entries of government. Yeah, it looks like you typed it up in Word because that's what happens. It is a very informal process that wields an insane level of power. And I will say, for the most part, thankfully, most prosecutors and DAs are pretty judicious and understanding of what they wield. But this is a situation where they were so worried about whether or not they could do it. As I said before, it's like Dr. Malcolm, should you do it? And I don't think he stopped to think about it. And I did find apparently there's some reactions from outside the courthouse. Let me bring this up. It looks like a bunch of nurses were out there. Is purple the nurse color or something, Liz?
It was the color they used for her. So it's not
so
the
for
nursing
hair.
color.
Okay.
But she, I think, had kind of picked
Okay.
Support.
So I think you guys should be able to hear this. If not, I'm sure you can see the reaction. But this is a bunch of nurses out there. It might be a little loud, so just be ready.
That judicial diversion is appropriate.
Yeah. And they're gonna start lighting the dumpsters on fire any minute now in celebration.
They look like the crowd. Look how wild they are.
Yeah, I actually am surprised they aren't like jumping up and down.
Completion of that probation.
Because I wasn't sure. Like, I thought she'd get probation, but I didn't think she'd get the diversion out of this. So
I honestly think they probably weren't entirely sure. Like, when are they done talking, and like, what does that actually mean?
yeah,
You know
when
what I
she
mean?
initially, yeah, when she initially gave that sentence, I'm like,
I know. I was like, oh my god.
that's stiff anyway. She gave her a 3 and 2 and like basically 3 years total. Like that's
Was that mandatory minimum?
no, that would have been if she sentenced. But then she started. Well, I guess that's how they do it in Tennessee. They actually state how long you're going away for, and then she goes on to talk about the other factors.
Okay.
And then it became a suspended sentence, basically. But even then, she was going to do 3 years, which that's pretty stiff in general. And she, and I assume if she screws up, that's what she's facing. If she ends up drinking, or if she sneaks into a hospital and tries to like catch me if you can as a nurse at some point, yeah, she'll go away. But in the meantime, if she stays on her farm and TikToks her chickens or whatever, she'll probably be okay.
She's gonna be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. All right. I have to go mom
All
for
right.
a minute, and then I'm going to do a stream on this topic now that it's done. But thanks for inviting me and letting me come and chat. This was very helpful.
Thanks for being here, Liz, and thank you for holding down the fort earlier.
Yeah. And Sean, I'm going to jump off too. I want to get at least half a pleading drafted before I jump on to Nick's stream whenever he does one.
I understand, Rob. I was busy earlier today too, so thanks for stopping by, guys.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for
letting
having
us.
And guys,
Bye.
check them both out, Nurse Liz and Lawn Lumber. They're both great.
Thanks.
Yep. So what are we up to? Yeah, I'm gonna take these off so I don't have to talk to anyone anymore. Oh, it's nice. It's refreshing. Yeah, I think this is probably, given the situation, the best outcome. I don't know. Like I said, I mean, she's in the clear in the sense she's not going to prison, but she's still a felon right now. So till she completes everything in diversion, she's still a felon. And if she fails diversion, then her conviction still stands. So, I mean, it's kind of in the clear, but she's got a long way to go. She should start a YouTube channel. That would be interesting. Yeah, and it's 3 years, and yeah, parole after 1 year. I didn't know. Yeah, I was looking it up. I just saw that too. They do a 30%. Still, though, that makes I'm not going to sit here and say that's not a lot, because I don't want to go do a year in prison. Do you? I want to do a year in jail. Nurse Scott, Nurse Liz, she has a stream under Nurse Liz. I should actually probably include their stuff in the comments, like the real Law Tube people do. Hold on here. I will include. She said she's got to take care of her kids, but then she's going to do something. But Nurse Liz has her own channel. I will put that up for you to take a look at. Hold on one second, Nurse Scott. And then, hold on, I gotta get the other one up here for Rob, Law and Lumber. Here we go. Hold on, guys. Sorry. Just want to make sure I take care of those guys. They did a great job coming in here and helping out. So, Nurse Scott, you should see it in like 1 second. It should update. All right, there we go. Sorry, I had to wait for it to finish. Yeah, I mean, think about it for her. There's, she's done. I mean, that's the most she's ever going to do at this point going forward. Here's the thing, Chaucerian. I don't think it should matter what you've done in life or where you are in life, your station. Does everybody deserve redemption or a chance back? Sure. Especially if it's their first time and they're not going to make that mistake again and it was like an aberration. Everybody deserves a way back. I don't care if you're Joe Shit the Ragman or Elon Musk. Yeah, everybody should have a way home. So I understand your thought there. Yeah, Scott, she said it was going to be a little bit later. She got to take care of her kids. So yeah, bye, Debbie. Thanks for stopping by. Wow, we're dropping off now. Numbers of people. Let's see here. And, HM, that's something I disagree with. That, I wish there was as much reform as there is in the medical profession as there were for police. I think a lot of people would agree with you, but that's not the case right now. So, she's been living this for 4 years already. She has. But it's still, she gets to live. I mean, yeah, it's probably taken a couple of years off her lifespan, but at the end of the day, she's also still alive. So, hopefully some of that anguish and paranoia and fear for 4 years on end, yeah, that is punishment. Thank you so much, Kevin. You're welcome. I appreciate it. Yeah, it sounds like for people talking about overrides, it sounds like their entire system at that point was so screwed up, everything was done via override, or most of it was. Because I actually talked to Liz about this quite a bit at the first time I met her on a stream, and she was explaining a lot to me about how those situations work. And yeah, it sounds like RaDonda was kind of in a situation where she was set up to fail. And if it wasn't her that would have done something like this, it sounds like somebody else would have done a similar oopsie poopsie. She should start an OnlyFans. Yeah, maybe. Why not? So, Eliza, diversion. Basically, you complete different things the probation department set out for you. Treatment, community service, any number of things they deem appropriate over the course of a few years. And if you complete them, then your charges are then basically dismissed. Your convictions are dismissed. That's generally a grace and a luxury afforded to people for their first-time offenders. And even though this is a very serious offense for her, this is a first-time offense. It wasn't a malicious act. It wasn't an intentional act. It was an accident. So she's being held accountable, and then she could eventually have this off of her record at some point. So let's see. What else you guys got going on here? Cop, it was a big deal. Oh, wow, okay. Somebody with a little more direct personal knowledge than anybody else here. That's interesting. Yes, she got 3 years probation with diversion, and as long as she completes the diversion, she'll be good to go. Playmaker, she been sentenced yet? Yeah, you missed it. Sorry. Michael, J. Michael RN, thanks for being here. Appreciate that. I don't know. I think if I were her attorney, I'd tell her just like take your dub and go home, because for her this really is a win. Just take your trophy and go home. When you get cleared of everything, go ahead and shit talk them. But for right now, just go home. Live your life. You don't need to deal with them anymore. Yeah, probation after probation, yeah, and the conviction gets removed. Yeah, I have faith she'll complete diversion. I mean, she got this far in life without a problem. I assume she will, but you never know. Remember, this is a drastic thing to go through. Yeah, the trauma of killing someone, but the trauma of going through a felony criminal trial where you're looking at going away for a while, that can mess with you too. It all depends. I'd like to think she can get through it, but you never know. The world affects everybody differently. So, but yeah, RaDonda, good luck to you. I hope you do well. May you complete your tasks that are set out before you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Nan, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Please like and subscribe. I generally try to do live stream a lot of trials, things that are going on, and release my own stuff. Also do a show every Thursday, 9:30, kind of recap the week. So, The amount of money she spent on her defense, a lot. I mean, these types of things are huge. These types of things are huge. It's a lot of money. So yeah, Corn Pop, how does this work? So she's going to be given a lot of things she has to complete. Basically, you need to think of diversion as being on mini probation. You have to follow all the rules of probation, stay clean, no alcohol, no drugs, come in and drug test, complete courses and classes. Now, she's an RN. She was an RN, so she already has a high school degree. She already has her college. She already has her RN, so she's well educated. Normally, if you don't have any of that, they tell you to get your GED. They tell you to get employment. If you need AANA, you go for that. Get mental health treatment. They might order her to do community service. Any number of things. And then if you complete all of that, your conviction's removed. So, yeah, Steve G, that does happen. The ROE in the military does, flip on the head of a dime. Was 876 in 2016. Wow. Jeez. That's not good. That's not okay, Drew. Yeah, precedence. That's not the. No, your spelling's not right, but I get what you're getting at. Now we go drinking, driving, kill somebody. Well, no, because you make a voluntary decision to get intoxicated and then get behind the wheel. So it's not the same thing. You're actually held to that's vehicular manslaughter or vehicular homicide because you intentionally got drunk and voluntarily got drunk and did it. I don't know if she's married. Have no idea. It's criminal behavior. Okay, so the law being changed in 2019. When in regards to a couple of the ways the law was, and this is discussed at the end of the first stream we did, when the state changed up their laws, and they delete. If you heard the judge talking about, well, this section got deleted and now it moved, and it's not my job to question what they did. They changed up how the laws were organized, and that changes her ability to get the diversion programming. And because of that, they said initially, if you have this, you can't get diversion. Well, then they changed it up, and they said that law is dismissed. Here's a new law. That law didn't refer back to saying, well, you still don't get diversion. So because the way that it's called the rule of lenity, if it doesn't say you can't do it, then it's allowed. So that's the issue there. Oh, no, don't worry about being crass, dude. I don't... Go watch Nigger Kid, and I laughed at some dude getting shot apart in the middle of the street. Like, trust me, being crass, not an issue. Not an issue at all. I see a nurse... Those are just typical conditions of probation, because when you're on probation, you generally surrender your rights to the court in exchange for not being incarcerated. Now, they may allow her to do alcohol. They might not. That's typically a traditional probation term, because if you're out drinking, you can do stupid things. And if you do stupid things, you might get arrested. Part of probation is to help ensure you don't get in trouble again and make sure you move forward on the best foot possible. So you don't go drink, you don't do drugs, you're not allowed to go to bars, you're not allowed to hang out with people who are on probation themselves or convicted felons or anybody else your probation officer doesn't want you hanging out with who might be a bad influence. So it could be they might let her do it, who knows. But really, if I said, okay, well, you can't drink, and you're going to say, well, I want to drink, okay, fine, you're going to prison, hop on the bus. You're telling me you wouldn't drink? I mean, when you're on probation, they call the tune, and even when you're on diversion, the court's calling the tune. You better dance to it. I know that was a little fast, but that's just kind of how it goes. And also, you may be able to tell I've given that speech to a client more than once. Yeah, I'm glad the court had mercy on her. Nobody wants to live in a merciless system, sure. And I think the court did the merciful act that the prosecution wouldn't do. And I think it's sad that the court had to step in and be that party. Okay. Always have an advocate you when hospitalized for any reason. That's, I think that's important. Thank you for the advice. Sorry, petting a doggo. Yeah, the hospital, well, if we watch Dr. Husel, we can see hospital administrators don't support even the doctors. Oof, that sucks to hear. Sucks to hear. I thought you guys did all right pretty good. Oh. Well, the judge was merciful and not the court. The judge is the embodiment of the court, so I would argue the court still was merciful. There. Super chat from Boyd. Boyd D916 for $5. What's up, Sean? Thanks for the stream. Actually, not a whole lot. What's up with you, dog? What's up, bruh? Anyways, thank you so much, Boyd. I appreciate it. As always, guys, that's always appreciated. Thank you so much for the support. I'm headed to a bar shortly. Well, hey, have fun. Make sure you take care of yourself. And remember, we'll talk to the cops. Yeah, don't drive tonight. It's always good advice. What's the version? I already explained that one. Okay, get those all taken out. So yeah, guys, that's really it for me right now. I feel like I've kind of caught up. Ain't no loss when you got the claws. Damn Skippy. Damn Skippy, son. Claw's always the law. Corn Pop, why does everyone in the USA drink White Claw? I see all the YouTubers with it. I didn't know all the YouTubers drink White Claw, but why do I? I mean, it's seltzery. It's kind of nice and light. It's a little warm for beer today, and I don't feel like slamming scotch like Ricada does, which, I mean, he does, and he's got that grift money, so he can afford the good stuff. But they're nice and light. Even if they're like room temperature, they're still pretty good. So, I don't know. We really seem to like them, though. I can tell you that much. Yeah, I drink these. I mean, these are good and, like, warm, too. It's really weird, but I enjoy them. It's like drinking a Pepsi with a little alcohol. Yeah, Sue, if you listen, she talks about the judge exactly lays out why she did not do this. And I think the judge had very good reasoning. It's a first-time offender. This is not likely to happen again. There's no reason to punish her for the traditional reasons we punish people. I think the judge did a very good job at explaining on the record why she's imposing the sentence she's imposing. So, where is the kitty today? Well, there's the calico kitty, then there's the bushy-tailed kitty. The bushy-tailed kitty is hiding and does not like to be picked up, so I'm going to leave her alone. And the other kitty is somewhere. I'm not sure. I shoot the flavors of White Claws I don't like. Not Brandon Herrera, no. This actually, lime is the only one I like. So, White Claw, if you're listening, I can do this for you for free. I enjoy these. And, yeah, I don't shoot them because I only buy the lime packs. It's 100 calories. So it's not bad. I mean, it's probably, what I'll drink this weekend alcohol-wise. Is it alcoholic? Yes, very much so. Have White Claw in the UK? Oh. My heart goes out to you guys. That is sad to hear. That is very sad to hear. Yeah. Well, yes, Brandon Herrera likes shooting White Claws, but I only drink the ones I like, so I don't have to get the bad ones. Well, thanks for stopping by, Gabby. Have a nice night. Well, that's why I said, hey, get a hold of me. Everything comes with a price, Sue. The mods, I don't know if they are, but I will tell you, I give my mods authority, and I give them the authority to act. So if they act, they act. If it ever becomes an issue, would certainly address it. But generally speaking, I'm going to back their play. I trust them to be judicious in their use of force, unlike the police. What do I typically cover on my channel? Where do I want to take it? I typically cover things that focus on, criminal law. There's a lot of people out there who focus on, what's going on, Amber and Johnny, or, video game people and the law and all those different areas. I'm a criminal defense attorney, so I like to stick with what I know. In addition to that, if there's videos and things I can show, like, here's an example of what's going on in the real world and how I can weave that in to explain to you a principle. That's what I like to do. That's my goal for this. Would it be nice if I could do this every day, all day for a job? Certainly, that'd be kind of neat. But for right now, that's not in the cards. I mean, that's a long way off. In the meantime, I really did this, started out as a hobby. I like to talk about my job. I like to talk about the law, and apparently people do like to listen to me talk about the law and have questions about it, and I love answering questions. I'm the type of guy that, mechanics don't like, there's a lot of people out there, like, if you're a mechanic, you don't like working on other people's stuff. Okay. As an attorney, do I like answering questions? Sure. Now, if I meet you at a wedding, you're like, hey, can you help me write a will? I'm not going to do that, but if you have questions about stuff, sure. I love just, talking with people and explaining stuff I know. It's fun. It doesn't get old. But yeah, I'd love for this to be something that, but I'll tell you this much. Wherever the road goes, I'm willing to take it. That's kind of how I look at life. Just go down something that seems like it's fun and not self-destructive. And if it turns out good, great. If it turns out to be a hobby, so be it. You can enjoy it either way. Drew, yeah, hey, the people I pick for mods are great. I trust them to do the job, and they do a great job at it. So I always support them. And my mods, Gabby, Critter, Matthew, and Parallax, they are great people. Thank all of you, each and every one of you. You guys are awesome. I don't say it enough probably, and I don't show it enough, I guess, but I really do thank you guys. You guys are awesome. You guys keep this place from burning to the ground half the time. So thank you guys again from the bottom of my heart. I really mean it. I'm on here doing all this, and you guys just help out because you're good people. So thank you. When you make a bad decision and give me a wrench, maybe someday. We'll have to talk to your mother. Oh yeah, national level, no precedent. Sure, yeah, this is not going to set a scale. Yeah, Alpha, you're right. This is not nationwide, but other prosecutors may look into this and say, hey, what did they do and can I apply it? Because somebody already laid the groundwork. So, yeah, there's a barely beaten path and a poorly drawn map. But now that's enough for somebody else to be brave and say, I'm going to follow this previous explorer. I'm going to follow Magellan now. Follow the route he took. You're a law student for 6 more weeks. Well, hey, Alpha, congratulations, man. If you ever want to talk, send me an email. I'll be happy to talk to you. Good luck to you on your way out there. And sounds like you're graduating this summer, so I don't know if you're taking the July bar, if you're going to take one in the fall or in the winter. Let me know. If you ever need advice from me, let me know. But in the meantime, good luck to you. Hope you crush it. It's all there. I've dealt with all kinds of stuff. I've dealt with, people get drunk and pass out in front of the police station when they're walking home from the bar to, somebody running around with a shotgun holding up liquor stores and getting in gunfights, shooting at gangbangers, with gangbangers shooting at each other. Obviously, that side of it, the interpersonal violence aspect of it is a lot more interesting and fun than, oh, he got caught with a stolen car. I mean, that's pretty much is what it is. But, your client got caught with a gun and they took his phone and now they're trying to shake him down to give it the password because they think he has information about a murder. Or, your guy got caught, standing him at the back of a truck with an SKS, just shooting up a neighborhood as he drove by. Yeah, that's, I mean, I'm not going to lie, that's the fun stuff. People want to go to trial. That's really where it is. Oh, don't hear our mods after all. Yeah, but you're not Nick's mods. Nick's mods suck. And he admits it, so. Guys, we're just gonna everybody gonna ice down their shit for a minute, okay? We're all gonna take a deep breath. We're gonna take a break. Thank you, I appreciate it, Chaucer. Shaw, thank you as well for jumping in where you were. Calling out the rules, calling out the mods. Neighboring state, West Virginia. Yeah, their bar is actually, West Virginia's got a tough bar. A lot of old law and their natural resource issues. I knew a guy took it and missed it by a point. He had to retake it later. Good attorney, Travis. He's a good guy. He's the worst. Yeah. Has she done an interview in the courthouse yet? I don't think so. I haven't seen anything. I've been trying to look. Nothing right now. And really, if I was an attorney, I'd be dragging her out the fucking door, telling her to go home. Just get the fuck home. Go home. There's no point. You gain nothing by doing that. So, and I will tell you guys, if you ever are curious to see what court's like in your neck of the woods, find out what the municipal court nearest you is and call them and say, hey, when do you guys have people coming in for cases? And you can just sit there and watch. You have every right to watch in a courtroom. It's a public hearing. Or if you want to see at the county level, serious felony cases, find out from the courthouse when they have things going on. If there's trial scheduled, you guys generally should be allowed to get in, and you may have to show up early or clear out some time on your schedule, but you guys can go take a look and see what's going on. It's very nice. Hellcat, I'll make sure Gabby checks her DMs for you. Guys, we're not going to talk about the messes here, everybody. Oh, Gabby, you're back. I thought you took off. Glad you're still with us. Hold on, I need to fire up Discord. I forgot I closed it. Oops, poopsie. Yeah, guys, so, yeah, that's, kind of where we are right now. Curious to see. Oh. Yeah, you guys are allowed to go to court, and I encourage you to do it. You should see the business end of the sausage being made, because remember, for all the trials you see here, there are a million more you'll never hear of. And there's some in your own neck of the woods you might get to see and understand. You might find out, wow, my DA looks like a good guy. You might say, wow, my DA sucks. Wow, that attorney's a good guy. I'll keep him on mind. Just a lot of things out there, That way you have a... Are there any cases you're going to cover on the horizon? Yes. Next week is Sarah Boone. She's the suitcase murder trial down in Florida. We're going to be running that. Now, I will state, if it's jury selection the first couple of days, I'm not covering that. Jury selection makes me want to jump out a window. If I'm doing it, it's okay, but if I have to watch it, I want to kill myself. So if it's just jury selection, we're not going to cover it. We won't cover it till the trial starts. But that should be a great trial, because what constitutes murder? Does an action constitute murder? Maybe. We'll find out. Can you explain, hold on here. Can you explain my outro? I mean, really, just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. I mean, I forget where I heard it at some point way back in the day as a young man, but really, I mean, even think about it. Just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. You know, you can do something, you can commit an act and not, deserve to be charged for it or convicted of it. You always have the right to do it. I mean, you can kill someone and you're not guilty of murder is generally, I think, the best way of describing it. But, there's always a defense. Whether or not defense is, how strong it is the issue. That's kind of how I always look at it. There's always a way. It might not be the best way, but you still have to try it. You're very welcome. Well, I mean, yeah, work is work no matter where you go, but go talk to attorneys, see if anybody's hiring and say, hey, find out. The worst you find out is, it's not for you. But you might find out it's good for you and you might be able to be productive and help some attorneys kick ass, so go for it. What do you got to lose? The worst that happens is you find out it's not for you and you go back to what you were doing before. Or you help out attorneys that don't do criminal stuff. But if you think you can help and help people get, justice, what are you waiting for? We need all the good people we can get. So, hang in there. Yeah, that's really it for me, guys. I'll hang around for a little bit. I will be your lawyer. Yeah, that's really it, guys. I don't have a whole lot going on. I might pop in and say hello to Nick and the rest of the people over there, or Nate, whoever's got something going on, but I encourage everybody, Joe Neerman with Good Logic. I think he's got something after this too. I might say hello to a couple different people. But yeah, guys, there's all kinds of stuff going on for this great Friday. And I will say this was a great resolution. The numbers are going up. Wow. Okay. This was a great resolution, to a case. I mean, I wish it was an acquittal, but you take what you get. So, usually I've never had to, I think everybody who came in today, you guys are awesome. I've never, had a stream go like this and go this well. Yeah. So, but if you guys have questions, I'll stay around and keep answering. Yeah. Hey, Kay, this is something to think about too. Talk to some nonprofits in your area. You might be able to help out. Just there's all kinds of resources in your community that can use legal help. So don't be afraid to go talk to them. You might just do it on your free time and volunteer. There's always somebody who could use your help, especially if you're good at your job, and you sound like you're good at your job. The fact you're concerned and, you're not sure if you'll be good at that shows you are attentive and think, you think about it. Later litigator. Yeah. All right, Alpha, have a good one. Adam, have a good one. You're welcome, Sue. I appreciate it. So yeah, guys, that's it really. It sounds like it's, yeah, thank you again, Corn Pop. I appreciate all your help and work from earlier. Very, very thankful. So that's it for me, guys. We will be back with Sarah Boone next week. And yeah, Nurse Liz is live now. Nick Ricade is live now. Joe Neerman's live now. I think Nate the Lawyer's live now. If you like Nerdrotic, I think he's about to go live with Friday Night Tights. They usually start at 4:30. I think a lot of people are. It's Friday afternoon. Everybody's getting ready to go live. Raven, I put the link for Nurse Liz in the description for her channel. If you click on it, that'll take you there, and then you can find the live from there. If you're asking, that should get you where you need to go. I think you summed it up very well. I think this is a very correct statement. It should be a similar action for everybody. So yeah, you know, guys. So until next time, just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty.